Hi guys, is Nigel Farage getting nervous? So he was interviewed shortly after the Prime Minister delivered a speech to the press regarding the changes to the immigration system. That is, making it more difficult for staff to be hired. Now, from an economic point of view, this is a disaster, as it will harm growth and add more pressure to both the NHS and social care, along with many other sectors. However, it does drive Farage to make more desperate claims, and one of them was on display here. The Reform UK leader misled listeners of GB News about freedom of movement. So, are we starting to see some cracks appear in Farage's only real policy?
ECHR, he said clearly we are not going to pull out of the ECHR. That's European Convention on Human Rights. That's your policy. The Tories are going towards that policy, aren't they? He says that to get these bilateral deals with France and Germany, you must stay within the confines of the ECHR. Is he right?
I suspect the bilateral deals could mean even more people coming into Britain, not less. And how ironic.
Notice he didn't answer the question. He's on, reform-friendly GB News, being asked very softball questions, and he even refused to answer that. Not a good sign.
That he's giving this statement today. He's boasting about trade deals with India, with America, all Brexit freedoms, and next week he's on.
See, once again, I think we're starting to see a bit of tension here. Because Farage sold people the idea we need to leave the European Union in order to sign trade deals with countries around the world. Now he's criticising those trade deals. Oh, this is bad policy for Britain. So he's undermining his own project to leave the European Union. And who's taking advantage of this? The Labour Party. The Labour government is signing these trade deals. Now, whether they're good or not is immaterial. They're not actually good trade deals, and one of them isn't even a trade deal. But the public see the Labour Party doing something. The new Labour government on these aspects of Brexit doing something. When it comes to immigration, they're doing something, as opposed to what the Tories were doing. So this is undermining Nigel Farage, and it's going to drive him further to the extreme, which will alienate any voters that he wants to win over from the Conservative Party.
Off to Brussels to potentially sign us up to free movement for the under-30s across the whole of Europe.
It's not free movement. He knows it's not free movement, and unfortunately the so-called journalist here doesn't push back. See, he's desperate. He's trying to paint a youth mobility scheme as free movement. Farage is running out of arguments. He's running out of ideas. See, he's seeing this whole thing of immigration being taken away from him. And what else has he got? He can talk about net zero, he can talk about taxes, but his entire argument, going back the last 30 years, was we need to get out of the EU, we need to do this, that and the other, because immigration is too high.
This sums up this Prime Minister. He is literally all over the place. And what I found going around the country, particularly in Labour areas, people said, we don't know who he is.
It's irrelevant. We're talking about immigration. We're talking about what the new government has done. And what is Farage doing? He's attacking Keir Starmer personally. See, he has nothing. Unfortunately, there's no pushback here, apart from myself. But you can see it's a desperate situation for Farage. His whole thing is immigration, and it's slowly slipping away from him.
We don't know what he stands for. We prefer Jeremy Corbyn. At least we knew what he believed in.
In a sense, you're driving a policy, or do you feel you are? I mean, certainly, the language certainly is there. I mean, they've been working on these plans for months and months and months, where what they have agreed, they said they would do in the election to cut net migration, but the language is changing, isn't it?
We are controlling the narrative. In terms of the rhetoric, it's follow my leader. They're following reform on all of this, but do they have the will to drive any of this through? I very much doubt it.
To a certain extent, he's correct. The narrative is being set by Reform UK. And that's why it's so important that left-wing parties set the narrative on other issues, that they drive the Labour government to the left. Farage has been successful in driving it to the right. Now, the problem for Farage, as I've pointed out in this clip, he's going to run out of road. Because if the Labour government, and I don't agree with the policy whatsoever, but you can see it from a political point of view, that the more the Labour Party moved to resolve the so-called problems that Farage points out, well, it reduces the amount of argumentation in favour of voting for reform, and it drives Farage further to the right, because if the Labour Party say, okay, we're going to stop migration. We're going to impose all these restrictions. Then what does Farage have to say? Well, we have to become more extreme. We have to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. That's all he's left really with. Because he's saying, well, to stop the boats, we need to leave the ECHR. But there's no appetite for that. That's too of an extreme position for most people. Because as soon as you look into what that means, it means taking away protections for the rights of British people. And that's the greatest argument against leaving the ECHR. Farage and the right wing came bang on about, well, we need to use it to get rid of migrants. And, well, you can say, well, there are countries within the ECHR who have deported people and have not left the convention, have not suspended their membership of the court. So this argument is useless. And this is the way we respond to it. It's a pointless argument. So I think what's happening slowly but steadily is Labour are adopting wrongly in many cases the Farage rhetoric and the Farage positions on immigration, but is painting him into a corner. And in order to stay relevant, he will have to become more extreme. And he'll end up sinking his party by doing so. So this may be a masterstroke politically, although I think it's going to be extremely damaging to the economy and society in general. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.